This video is a translation from an original Russian video on Focus Death channel. Everything was translated with the permission of the author. Hello everyone! After the video with the review of tanks, archers and daggers in C1, a lot of people got a shock seeing the animation of a human male running with a bow, and they asked to show the other differences. At the beginning of the 2000s, the developers had a lot of limitations in providing the performance of the game due to limited capacity of the hardware. So, starting with Prelude, the developers already started to cut the graphics, reducing the number of polygons and models and refusing to provide massive use of vibrance. Even after C1, the changes continued. For example, in C1, there is a little difference in light compared to the later updates. Also, the sound design of the game has some changes. In C1, in low-level locations, you can hear way more musical themes, which were later distributed to various locations all over the map. In further updates, due to various reasons, NCSoft deleted the sounds of birds singing, leaves whispering, jars hitting each other, and creaking of the doors. Elements of the interface will seem very unusual to many people, but if you can easily get to the different layouts of skills menu, then the absence of a map and the necessity to carry it in your inventory will take a long time to get used to. Also, some players of the later updates will be surprised with different models of NPCs and no gremlins at the starting point. After getting to Gluten, attentive players will see that one of the buildings has a pub with a correspondent sign. In Oren, blockstone textures are different, and the city looks pretty clumsy. Fire and water in the game look even worse. But of course, the biggest concern for the players is what the characters look like. The biggest shock is the running animation of humans with bows. It surely looks unusual and not everyone will like it. The animation of females remains the same. Female elves holding swords don't look realistic. Huge homunculus sword is lifted at such an angle as if it weighs nothing, and the wrist of a fragile she-elf looks like she can easily smash any orc. Orcs animations here are different too, and it's noticeable. Orc warrior holds a two-handed sword as if he wants to go to the toilet, and it's at it by bending his knees from time to time. And look at his right hand. It's totally tied up several times like someone usually twists a wet mop. While running, a sword isn't turned to the side as usual but along the body, staying far behind the head. Keep that in mind if you're planning to play as an orc. But the funniest thing is female orcs mystics. She's holding a weapon like a robber holding a crowbar, and she looks really brutal while she stands. All this brutality disappears when she starts running. You need to give her a football so that she can kick it. Male mages don't get too far behind. They look too shy and clumsy and hold their arms and legs really tight as overgrown children. You can add this picture taking a Yaksa mace in your hands, which is like many other weapons that have either a different model or just use the same model for different weapons. Female dwarves also look strange holding some weapons. For example, she carries a C-grade hammer in front of her like a doll, and one hand gets inside its textures. It also looks strange when she runs. In general, many different weapons have unusual models. You can't find a Yaksa mace, elven longsword, eminence bow, and other weapons. C-grade armor has textures of D-grade. For example, composite armor and full plate have the texture of Salamandra. Plated leather set looks like a magical demon set. The animations of some skills don't exist too. For example, Berserker Spirit buff looks like Sleep and even has the same sound. Ecumen and Empower look like Kiss of Eva. Aqua Squirrel looks like Ice Bolt and its animation is different from that in C4. Regeneration, Bless the Body, Bless the Soul have a completely different animation, which looks like a pillar of light, and it has a different sound. Dances of Blade Dancer also have a completely different sound. Now, the most important things about classes. Prominence of a sorcerer doesn't have that usual plate. It just looks the same as Blaze. By the way, our friend promised to make a mod with more improved animation. Hurricane of Spellholder doesn't have a usual animation, but in this case it looks like an advantage. In C1, Hurricane looks like a twister, but its animation is way more massive. The whole skill has better visual quality, and the trajectory of star spinning when you cast is not fixed like in C3, but depends on the position of the player, so casting will look very different every time. Hydroblast also has a different animation. It's more complex, it has more textures and meshes. In later updates, the developers started doing more of various animations and stopped using the same things for different skills, but on the other hand, the animations themselves were simplified in order to improve the performance of the game. In general, C1 has a whole lot of small differences compared to the further updates, and you can learn about them from the video of our friend. Translated from Focus Death channel with the permission of the author.